Right, so we got Captain America with his hot takes yet again. Previously, the comic book was mocking Jordan Peterson, implying that he is Red Skull. I mean, I guess for identitarians, both on the left and the right, they constantly need to take jabs at Jordan Peterson. And it's not enough to call him a Nazi. Now he has to be a super Nazi. He needs to be a magical Nazi in order to have more resonance, I guess. And now Captain America is deconstructing, he's dismantling the American dream. Now, the American dream is that with hard work and sacrifice, you can get upwards mobility. It's the idea of meritocracy, is the idea that the United States is one of the nations that if you manage to go in and you work hard, you can be something in life. And Captain America is now saying, here's the thing about a dream, though. A dream isn't real. I'm starting to think that America actually has two dreams and one is a lie. The first American dream is the one that isn't real. It's one some people expect to just be handed to them. And then they get angry when it disappears, when the truth is it never really existed in the first place. It doesn't get along nicely with reality. Other cultures, immigrants, the poor, we're at our best when we keep no one out. A good dream is shared radically, shared with everyone. When something isn't shared, it can become the American lie. So, in other words, we need to stop listening a little bit to the journalists who are immature and they think Captain America is real because Captain America isn't real. Okay, Captain America didn't say this. Captain America is fictional. He doesn't exist. So all the journalists that are now, oh my god, like Captain America is dismantling the America. Okay, they're children who still engage into make believe. Captain America is fictional, and the person who said this is a radical left-leaning activist with an agenda. If you get to write tomorrow at Marvel tomorrow, you can get Captain America to sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" and to say that he likes Coke. Like, there is a human being behind the curtain, all right? So with that out of the way, to me, it's not shocking that a far left activist doesn't believe in meritocracy because they clearly did not get the job on merit. If they had gotten the job on merit, maybe Captain America comic would actually sell. And manga wouldn't be at the bestseller. It's gotten so bad that just one manga sold more than the entire American comic book put together. Okay, so this is where we're at. And the person that's in charge is incapable of creating entertainment, and this is what they're doing. They're turning comic books into propaganda. Some of the people that work on Marvel have given TED Talks, and they literally said that this is what they want to use comic books for. Propaganda. Right? In order to convince children, in this case, that the American dream isn't real, and that they need to be no border activists. Like, in fact, there was this comic book they remade, which is Superman versus the KKK. They remade it after a classic. And in the new version, it's literally that, like teaching children that if your parents care about immigration, then they're Nazis. Now, here's the interesting part, okay? The give me your poor thing on the Statue of Liberty and all of that. Yeah, I think it's like give me your poor with the added caveat that they need to immigrate legally. Like all the people that went to America before, they immigrated legally. They also learned English. Like, funny part is that, like, they keep forgetting that. You get people from Europe, German, French, Italian, English. All of them are coming together into the melting pot. And they do the Pledge of Allegiance. They speak English because there's no other way to communicate. And furthermore, it's also, like, if you want all these different cultures to live together under the same roof, they need to at least adhere to an ideal, which is the American dream in this situation. In Europe, they didn't have that. So what did they get? They get two world wars. All those cultures, they fought against each other in Europe, while in America, they coexisted. Now, surely the coexistence wasn't perfect. They didn't always get along, and there were definitely a bumpy ride, but it wasn't like all-out warfare like you have in Europe. And why? Because of the American dream, because of the ideals that are happening. Now, you need to take into account, like, the American dream was made in a world where you have monarchies, where social mobility was very limited. And even in other worlds, as time goes by, like you get communism in the Soviet Union, social mobility was almost non-existent. Like you would, if you were born in a good family that had ties to the inner party members, you had access to very high social mobility. If you were born in a family that didn't have those connections, you had very low social mobility. In fact, like in my country, what the communists did was they would look at your heritage and they would actually have like this saying, like he is of pure stock, I believe, and what that meant was that you're the family of like some revolutionary or some important higher up, and the people who were born from like previous nobility, from previous people in the clergy, from writers that wrote against the communism, those were of bad stock. And this really mattered if you wanted a good job. So if you wanted to become a lawyer, a prosecutor, a judge, a doctor, or something like that, they really looked at your upbringing and at your genetics. Like, who is your father? Who's your mother? Who's your grandfather? They really care. They didn't do that shit in the United States during that time. Right? So when you compare it with, I guess, the utopia, yeah, I guess the American dream doesn't really hold up. That's fair. You know, but when you compare it to other nations during those times, there's a reason why people want to go to the US. If the US is so horrible and so racist and so awful, why are so many people wanting to go there? And why are the left wanting those people to go and enjoy all those horrors? It doesn't make any sense. Like during that the height of Nazi Germany, you didn't have Jewish people wanting to emigrate there, now did you? And imagine if you would have had like the left-leaning party of Nazi Germany advocating for open borders to allow more Jews to come in. How the fuck do you think that would be treated by history? This nonsense doesn't make any sense. Like you can't at the same time believe that the US is systemically racist and that it's a good thing for more people to join in. How can you have like both of these in your head? Now, what's interesting is like, let's talk about the American corpo nightmare. You know, where they want people to come in illegally. I know that word really upsets them. It's like, well, no person is illegal. Yeah, if some person would find themselves during the middle of the night in the house of the activist that makes that claim, all of a sudden they would call the cops and then they would say, oh, there's a man illegally in my house. But when it's in the country, it's different, right? But, you know, forget the word, right? Forget the political correctness. Think about the essence of what I'm saying. Why do corporations like people undocumented, like they like to say? Well, if someone that comes in undocumented and gets to work at a corporation, all of a sudden that person can't complain now, can they? Added bonus if they don't speak English, because then they really can't complain and they can't even talk to the press or the police. So, all of the thing that the left wants, like, you know, treating the employees decently, minimum wage, 8 hours of workday, all of that shit can be thrown out the window because, oh, look, the person is undocumented, right? What is he going to do? File a lawsuit against us? He is at the mercy of the company. It's very interesting, like, why the left stops caring what happens with the people after they get in. And the reason I know about this shit is because I'm Romanian. Like, I know the horror stories of how other Romanians are treated in Germany when they go to pick asparagus. I know how they're being treated in the United Kingdom when they're going to pick fruits. I know all the horror shit that the media in their country doesn't talk about. So I don't think it's any different to what happens with the people that go into the United States and they work at these corporations. But, like, they don't talk about it. They don't bring it up. Yeah, like, the moment that the person got in, oh, we don't care what happens to him. Why not? Why don't you care what happens to him? And by the way, like, this is where the right-wingers could actually score a win. Like, find out what happened to these undocumented people. You know, like, just follow up on what's happening to them once they get into the U.S. You would be horrified at some of the stories you'd uncover. And I know this because I have people on my channel that tell me some of these stories. It's what happens when you have a channel with 100,000 subscribers. Now, I can't present them because, you know, it's just like one story. People will say, well, I'm cherry picking, or it's just like hearsay. There's kind of a lot of hearsay. Like when you hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories like that, it's kind of make a connection and with the thing that you know from it. But that's my point, right? So, Captain America is dead, by the way. Like, it's being taken over by far-left activists. And I really don't care about what he has to say because, yet again, if a Nazi writer would have been hired by Marvel, like Captain America would have started spewing far-right propaganda. But, like, again, that wouldn't just be Captain America, which is why people don't even read him, by the way. Which is why, like, people are meh when they find out about it because they know it's not, like, the same thing which made Captain America special to begin with. So most people don't buy the comic book. But that's okay, because they're probably getting schools and libraries to purchase the comic books for them. You see, for a long while, I really didn't understand, like, why is it that these people continue the bullshit without people buying the comics? Like, why don't they change? And the reason is because they expect the government to bail them out. That's why. Like, it all makes sense. All these corporations, they think they work hand in hand with the government to educate people. That's how they view themselves. So what they're hoping for is that, okay, maybe some school or maybe some library that's also having like woke activists in charge, they're going to just buy 1,000 of their comics, and that's how they're going to make money. Maybe someone at Hollywood might purchase the IP in order to make a movie, and that's how they're going to make money. That's the gist of it. That's how the shtick works. That's the new world, I guess, the Great Reset, where companies work hand in hand with the government under the purpose of educating people, and then the government just bails out the companies when they're failing. Anyway, right, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.